when we see rags to riches stories which are unbelievable, unfortunately, most of the time they are unbelievable because they are fake. Okay, that's the truth.
The poor people, when they get a lot of money, they usually end up getting poor. So in what sense you were explaining that? I didn't get that.
A guy who was about to get up to leave had a lot of money in front of him. On that table, there was a lot of excitement. So the ladies who were standing on a different table, they walked to your table because now I'm a person of interest. And after some time, one of them sat on my lap. After half an hour, I'd lost all the money that I had. But why I'm telling you this story is because if you ask me, I don't remember how much money I lost. But I do remember the whiskey was smooth, the lobsters tasted nice, and that woman who sat on my lap was pretty. Who wants to talk about a guy who's not successful?
These influencers or so content creators making lakhs of money, being
Are
paid.
they? Are they? Who will give you money if they think you're weak?
Thank you so much, Anurag sir, for being here. It's lovely hosting you here, provided you are coming from Singapore in Delhi now. Would really love to know that story also, that how do you see Delhi now? But in all good spirits, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks, Aftab, for having me here. And it's a pleasure to be at AP Podcast. And let's see how this goes. Yeah.
And how do you see Delhi now, right? You're obviously from India, but now since you're living in Singapore for such a long time, how does coming back feel like?
Oh, I think there's been a lot of change on the infrastructure side. The experience of landing at the Indira Gandhi International Airport is much better than before. It took me, I think, 25 minutes from immigration to my car outside.
Oh.
Yes, and that's quite impressive. There used to be a time when people used to wait for hours to get out. So that experience has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Traffic, I think, is the same. I don't think there's been much change. We used to have these traffic jams earlier. I had my book launch a couple of days back in Greater Kailash too, and it rained that day, and I know the number of people who had to cancel out because they couldn't reach the location. So we are still there, but yes, things are improving. I'm very bullish on India.
About a very
bullish on India. I'm very bullish on India. I'm very bullish on India as an economic story. I'm also an investor. Part of my life, like I'm known as the investor during the daytime and a novelist during the night time. So I keep a close touch with what is happening in India from an economic perspective, and I'm very bullish the way things are progressing in India. The reforms are happening. It takes time. Everything takes time. But I think key things have been put in place, and hopefully this decade will be India's decade. I know this has been said many times before, but I hope this time it's going to be true. So yeah, we will all go through a wealth cycle, and obviously somewhere it will reflect on all of us. Maybe we'll become wealthier as the country advances.
And even you were earlier part of corporate, and majorly that was something that you were doing for your living. But at the moment, we all have seen the drastic change that you are now more towards the creative profession or the writing and all that stuff. So how did this transition happen?
So yes, I was on the finance side. The last job I was doing, I was on investment banking side. I used to do private equity advisory, basically getting private equity funds to invest in companies. And I used to be on the side of the customer and then deal with the private equity funds, sell the story to private equity funds. In 2013, my wife got a job in Singapore with the existing company she was working with. As a result of which we decided whether we want to move to Singapore or not. And I knew very well that given my skill set and the networks I had, basically one of us would have to sit back. So if we went to Singapore, then she will take the lead and I will take a back seat in terms of being the bread earner in the house. So we took that call, and then the decision was, okay, if I don't find something to my liking in Singapore, then I am probably gonna start my life again. So move away from corporate. So we went through this healthy discussion for a good 3-4 months before we finally decided to leave. And that decision has played out. She works on the corporate side. She's done well for herself. Frankly, between me and her, she was the more ambitious one. So it was. She is. She still has that fire burning. So it's great. And I always worked because it used to pay bills. So if somebody asked me, why are you doing this job, I would not have given you a very passionate answer. It was indifference, frankly.
So, do you feel because you had the support of your wife,
Yes.
especially economically, if
Yes.
you are talking pragmatically here,
Yes.
so you were able to, explore the creative option. But let's say if you were in a position where you didn't have anyone or didn't have specifically anyone who could support the economics, would you have still chose to be part of the creative journey that you are doing at the moment?
So it has made things easier for me. So there are two sides to it. One side is that I also was able to build a corpus of money by that time when I took this call, and obviously it helped if somebody is an earning member. Yes, but for a person who is pursuing his passion of writing without any monetary benefit backing him up, I think life can be extremely difficult. That's the truth. It's difficult to pay bills when you are writing, especially if you're writing fiction. The number of people who become very successful financially writing fiction, I think, is very limited in India.
Obviously.
Yes, I'm myself still struggling. It's not, and the last two novels have done well. It's not that I haven't done well, but to be in a position where financially it starts making logical sense to you, I think that's still some time away. So this is more a pursuit because I'm passionate about it, and that's why I'm driving it. Logically, if I was to say that I'm going to put 1 hour to writing a novel and 1 hour to trading, which is what I do
at the moment?
At the moment also, it would not make sense financially. But this gives me happiness, so I do it.
Yeah.
And thanks for the fact that I have the monetary backing that I can pursue it. Yeah. So I'm lucky in that sense.
Yeah, and as I earlier I was saying before the conversation started that this movie by Imtiaz Ali, Tamasha.
Tamasha, yes.
So basically, I gave you a gist of the story that how there was this guy who was a completely different person in the vacation, and when the office starts, he's back to his regular 9 to 5 routine, and the way his personality is. Sort of, I saw some sort of similarity over there when I saw the content that you're making, either the excerpts or the books or anything that I read about you. So from there, I really want to know, was there any moment specifically in corporate that you faced that literally told you, यार अब तो कुछ करना है, अब ये नहीं हो पाएगा, I want to explore the creative field?
So as I mentioned earlier, for me a job was a means to an end. It was never more than that. Okay, it paid the bills, so I went to work. Whether I was investment banking, before that I was heading a retail equity broking outfit. I started my career as a tax consultant with Arthur Anderson, then went to ABN AMRO Bank as a relationship manager. So I've done the entire gamut of financial services: banking, PMS, equity broking, investment banking. But if you ask me why were you doing it, I was doing it because you got a salary check end of the month which paid the bills. It wasn't more than that. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, it was easier for me probably to make that choice when it came down to either me or my wife who's gonna go ahead. One, she was more ambitious, and two, I wasn't very passionate about the job, so to speak of. So this was something which was lingering in the background, and then I got my opportunity and I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to move towards one of your books called The Dalal Street, right?
Yeah.
So I was, I think, reading one of the paragraphs or the excerpts that I found on internet. I think you were in a very metaphoric sense telling that the ups and highs of market are something that are beyond my hands, and I really don't know if the market knows that what I want and it just doesn't give me that, right? So I sort of connected this same sort of ideology to our in general life, right? In general life also we feel like whatever we are asking, we are not getting that. So I really want to know from you, were you trying to explain this metaphorically in the book, or there was some other meaning behind this?
No, you have got it right.
Acha.
Yes. Yes. So see, so life is a roll of dice, right?
Hmm.
We have ups and downs. The market is the very same. Uh, the market is collective wisdom on one side and somebody counter to you on the other side.
Hmm.
There's always a balance, right? So if you are trading in the short run, then it's a zero-sum game. Whatever you lose, somebody else makes. Whatever he loses, you make, right? So the thing is that what seems to be, and you can have a discussion about this with any retail investor. If he thinks it's going to go down and he puts his money and he shorts the market, which means he sells into the market, it goes up. And when he chases it, it goes down. Because it's almost as if there's an algorithm which is working on the side, which is saying what is the majority of people thinking, and somebody is taking a counter view. So I remember when I was heading a retail equity broking outfit, we used to go to the risk management, where the risk management was done for all the clients. So here I had a computer screen which showed me what the 25, 30,000 clients who were trading that day, what they were thinking, majoritively. And suppose I saw that 90% of them were long on the market, which means they had bought, thinking it's going to go up. It was a very easy trade to go short. You would make money on it. Somebody else is doing that at the entire market level. So they have filters somewhere which gives you what is the sentiment of the market. Because majority can never make money in the market.
Yeah.
Otherwise it will be a very easy game, right?
Yeah.
Everybody will make money. So you hear people who made money, but they are in the minority always. And they have a contrary view to what is the majority view. So you have to figure out where you stand.
So you wanted to put this particular idea of majority and minority to life also?
Yes, yes, it's
Yeah.
true.
You want to elaborate more on that?
So, I mean, in life, the viewpoint. I mean, I am walking on a path which is a minority path as a creative today,
Okay.
right? What is the majority path? A 9 to 6 job, which is what I was doing earlier.
Got it.
Yes. And in life, if you don't take the minority path, you will remain with the herd. It pays your bills, life goes on. But is there going to be a spark in your life? Are you going to make it big? Perhaps not. To make it big, you have to be different from the others.
Obviously.
So that's your minority view, the opposite view. But there will be challenges in that time till you get recognized on that view, because the majority are against you. Right?
Majority are the people who have already made it and
No.
they don't want to be made
Also.
successful.
So every industry has a particular threshold which you have to cross to make it big, right? So in the publishing world now, this is my third novel. So I understand that when I start writing, I know I will get published. That confidence has come.
Right.
But you ask a first-time writer who's still roaming around in the market with a manuscript, what is the probability of getting published? I think it's 1%, maybe 1 or 2%. So where am I getting the confidence when I start writing a novel that I'll get published? Okay, because I think I have crossed that threshold. But just to give you an idea, so my second novel, The Lal Street, was picked up by a production house, and they were trying to sell it to one of the OTT platforms.
This is which novel?
The Lal Street, the second one
Okay.
that I had written.
Okay.
And there, I am a newcomer. In the publishing world, I'm not. But in the OTT movie world, I'm a newcomer.
Obviously.
Yes, I am no one there. I have to walk the talk, I have to cross that threshold, right? So I am struggling, and I will struggle, because you have to pay your price to become part of the group.
Got
I'm
it.
not part of the group. That's life for you.
Yeah. And where do you want to place God or fate or destiny here, if we had to add that perspective also? Yeah.
So I believe that there's someone out there. I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not religious.
Okay.
And I believe that the more I give, the more I get. That I have always worked with. So I'm monetarily, like I donate money, charities, things like that. But I only do so where I have a direct interaction with the person who's doing the job. I don't like these large organizations with mega corporate structures who are on the NGO side.
Yeah.
So better to go, yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's how it's been.
Yeah. And now I want to address the elephant in the room, the
Yeah.
Goa Gambit.
Yeah.
You were telling me that there is a very interesting story
Yeah.
behind this whole thing, that why you want to write this book.
Yes.
So first, I really would love if you could walk us through the whole thing behind this.
Okay. So this was, I was on a flight to Goa, this was in 2016. And I had a gentleman sitting next to me,
Okay.
a youngster in his mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
He stood out from the regular crowd. So there's some element of bias here. I'm a city person, he did not look like a city person. So I got talking to him. We were all going to Goa, but I asked him what was he going to do in Goa. Because he was dressed differently, didn't have a bag on him, carrying a man purse. So generally we got talking and he showed me his man purse and it was full of 1,000 rupee notes. That time we used to have 1,000 rupee notes in
This is
India.
which year?
2016. And he had two VATs, 200,000 rupee in that purse. And he told me that he was going to the casino in Goa. And he had been to the casino 15 times that year. So I was intrigued. I asked him, where did he get the money? So he told me that he was a farmer from Delhi NCR suburbs. And he had sold his piece of land to one of the real estate builders. And they had more money than they could count. They didn't know what to do with it. So these were guys who had never seen money in their lives, suddenly having crores of rupees. Saving did not come naturally to them because they had never seen money.
Obviously.
But spending did because they had made sacrifices their entire life. So suddenly these people were spending money, they were buying the Rolexes of the world, the Prada was standing outside their house, the mud houses had given way to brick.
This
and
guy
things like
only?
that. This guy only, yeah. And when I asked him further, I said, I mean, don't you get scared like you go alone? He says, alone? Who's alone? I have 40 people from my village in this flight. 40
God
people.
damn.
Yeah. So I said, wow. And he said, no, and this is, it wasn't his village standalone. Apparently the entire community in that area. So I asked him, how did this happen? So he said, when we started selling, we came in the money. The casino agents arrived in our village from Goa. And they got the influencers in the village to basically, kind of a junket was organized. They were called to Goa. Tickets paid for, hotel stay organized, everything. Now imagine these villagers whose only source of entertainment till then was a dilapidated cinema hall, single screen hall with broken seats, suddenly being thrown on a casino floor with belly dancers, black label flowing everywhere. The only thing they had was money, right? So if you have money, the casinos are all welcoming. And this guy had gone, and he was, I mean, so long as he played the 200,000 he had for that weekend, everything was on the house, on the casino. This was in 2016. So I actually went to the casino after that to verify the story, and I found it, yes, there were a lot of 30-40% people were from the hinterland of India, from North India. You saw them. It still happens. So, and this entire community is into gambling, alcoholism, prostitution, whatever comes with casino industry. Yeah. And the agents were like termites. They moved from one village to the next as the money got over in the first village in the entire area. It was interesting.
You were mentioning something about, rich, not rich actually, the poor people, when they get a lot of money, they usually end up getting poor soon. How, in what sense you were explaining that? I didn't get that.
So the thing is that they are not, so you have never saved money because you never had money. So they don't have good saving skills. So the bankers would have gone to these people as well when all this money came. But saving doesn't come naturally to them because they never had money to save. But when you've lived your entire life making sacrifices, I can't buy this because I don't have money. What is the first thing you do? The first thing you do is that all the things that you ever wanted to buy, you go and spend money on that. Lavish weddings. And you know the typical this thing of showing off.
Yeah.
I have a Scorpio, the other guy will buy a bigger car. Then I lose my sleep over it. I'll buy a bigger car. It happens in these areas. And what happened was these entire villages had become rich because everybody had sold land, whosoever had land in the village. So these guys were competing with each other. And the casino agents realized that before they run out of money, let us also show them the casino, the paradise in Goa, so to speak of. And they came and these people completely took it and went there. So I met this guy, I went and I researched, I found his story to be right, and he became one of the main characters in the novel. And then I started building a story around it. So I started meeting more people in the casinos. I was lucky to meet some people. I knew some of my friends who used to gamble as well. And I met some very interesting people, called in the casino parlance, they call people with superior skills.
This is in Goa only?
In Goa only, yes.
Have you explored casinos outside India as well?
Yes, I have been to a lot of places. I've played at casinos in Vegas, in Deauville in France, Monaco, in South, in India, Goa.
What is the major difference between, you know, the way it operates in India and in other countries like Vegas and stuff?
I think is the quantum of money.
Okay.
Yeah, quantum of money, and otherwise live gaming there's not much difference. It's just the quantum of money you can play. In Vegas there's no limit what you can play. There are tables where you can play $1 million. In India that'll be a problem.
Did you do that?
No, I'm not that rich. No. So in the gambling world there are two kinds of people. You have the social gamblers, which is people like us, who go there I think predominantly for entertainment. Though we all want to go to a casino to win, but we go there with a sense that, you know, I have so much money, I'm going to play. You know at the back of your head that you might not win, most probably you'll lose. So you're going there for the experience. Okay, I went to a casino, I played, larger than life, the thrill for the time being. And most of social gamblers, when they come back home, they don't remember the money they lost. They remember the experience that they had at the casino, which is what drives people again to go to the casino. I mean, I have an interesting story that I spoke about at the book launch in Colombo at a casino. Similarly, I'd gone, my wife was sleeping, she said, I'm going to take a nap, you want to go to the casino, you go. So I went to a casino with $100 in my pocket, $100 US. That point in time, Sri Lankan rupee, at a casino they used to give you 100 rupee per dollar. So I got 10,000 Sri Lankan rupee to play with.
Which is roughly how much in Indian currency?
Indian currency today, 100 US dollar is 8,000 rupees.
No, the Sri Lankan value, 10,000 Sri Lankan.
10,000 Sri Lankan, that point in time, it used to be 2 rupees for every 1 rupee in India. So
Achha.
yeah, so 5,000 rupees.
Got it.
Yeah, so it wasn't a big sum of money. Yeah, it was more entertainment. So I had taken that much that okay, this much I will lose, I'll be fine. I'll spend an hour and a half to have a few beers and come back. You know. So I went there. They said, how much you want to play? That's how they ask you to decide which table you're going to sit on. So there are tables. So I want to play roulette. So when I said $100, 10,000 rupees, so they put me on a table where I would last for some time with that 10,000 rupees so that I get a feel, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, right? If I had said 100,000 rupees, it would have been different table. So anyway, I'm playing there, I'm playing black and white, which is almost a 50% probability, black and red. Then I start getting bored after some time. I've had a beer or two. I'm getting restless, so I think let's play 2-3 big hands and then let's call it off now, go back home. So I put a big chunk of money on one of the numbers out of sheer boredom. No calculated this thing. And as things would have it, the number came. So when the number came, I got 36 times.
36 times?
Times the money I had put.
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
Yeah, on a single number you get 36 times. So suddenly, a guy who was about to get up to leave had a lot of money in front of him. And on that table, there was a lot of excitement. I had a lot of chips in front of me. So immediately, my beer was removed. A whiskey bottle was brought so as to ensure I don't leave. And they were serving some spring rolls or something ad hoc. They bought lobsters for me to eat.
Let this guy stay.
Yes, the whole idea was that he should stay because the edge is always with the house. So if I stay there and play for a long time, then they will again win back the money from me. I was lucky, right? So anyway, I was playing for some bit, but now my mind is thinking, you know, I've got to walk away with some of this money. So I'm playing it safe now. And they also realize that he's playing it safe. So after half an hour more there, maybe I lost a bit of it, but I still had quite a bit of chunk there. So the ladies who were standing on a different table, they walked to your table then. Because now I'm a person of interest. And after some time, one of them sat on my lap. And she started throwing my chips on the table. I couldn't object. After half an hour, I'd lost all the money that I had. I had a 500 rupee note in my pocket to take a cab back to my hotel. And they were nice enough, they gave me a complimentary cab. But why I'm telling you this story is because if you ask me, I don't remember how much money I lost. But I do remember that the whiskey was smooth, the lobsters tasted nice, and that woman who sat on my lap was pretty. That's your casino experience for you.
Yeah, your wife is also going to watch the podcast.
Yeah, no, she knows about this. Yeah, she knows about this. Because I told her the next day in the morning when she woke
How was
up.
that reaction?
It's fine, yeah. It is what it is. Maybe next time she would have gone with me. Yes. So yeah. So that's for you. So it is an entertainment. But then there are 3-4% people who are compulsive gamblers. They are not like you and me. They go there to play a serious game. They actually go there to win.
It's a profession for them.
It's a profession for them. And some of them do beat the house and win consistently. So what I want to say is that winning against the casino is a possibility. That's what I've been made to understand by these people. But remaining undetected, that's the real game. Not winning. Remaining undetected when you win. If you win a big chunk of money, you are highlighted. If you win too often, the casinos ban you from playing. They don't want you there.
Obviously.
So you get banned. So how do you win consistently without being noticed by them? That's the real trick. Not the big hand. Actually meeting $400, $500 every day, remaining below the radar and winning consistently. Otherwise you come in a black book which they maintain, which they share with each other, which has names of people who win more often than not, and they will not entertain you.
This is irrespective of place. This every casino.
Every casino has. And they share the data. Because the big winners move from one country to the other. Yeah. So it's casino camaraderie between them.
And also the protagonist of your story, Jayesh, if you see it sort of, the primary example, we can see here is that there are two lenses attached to this person, right? The poor is seeing him like, oh, this is a very rich guy, he is all by himself and all that.
Yeah.
But deep down, he knows that he is just a poster boy for a politician.
Right.
Because the politician obviously cannot be the front facing this.
Right.
So what were you trying to showcase with this particular character?
So I want to say that, when we see rags to riches stories which are unbelievable,
Yeah.
unfortunately most of the time they are unbelievable because they are fake. Okay, that's the truth. Now that's the reality, the rational person in me coming out. Rags to riches doesn't happen as often as we think it happens. A lot of time the person who's portrayed there as the person who did rags to riches, there's an easier explanation to it. And the easy explanation is that he is doing it on behalf of someone else.
This is with every rags to riches story you're saying?
Almost every rags to riches story. I'm telling you as an ex-investment banker. Yeah. The
This
reality.
needs to go viral.
That's the truth. And it's not true only in India, it's true across the world. Yes. I mean, access to easy capital, right? in a country like US has made it probably easier to break the thresholds and the barriers. So a common man can become a billionaire. But access to capital also acts as a very big barrier in almost every other country. That's true for India also. The difference between an also ran and a very successful person to a very large extent is access to easy capital. That's not coming your way. So if you had access to easy capital, you could be in a very different realm.
Obviously.
Now whether that comes from a banker or whether you're a poster boy for somebody who already has that capital. So that's the story.
So that was the main, nothing philosophically or metaphorically you were trying to portray from this particular character.
No, see, no. What I'm trying to say is that we worship success, right? That's
yeah,
how our society
obviously,
is.
any day.
Success worship, right? So if you don't know what the real story is, you will worship me, right? That's how we look up. Who wants to talk about a guy who's not successful? There are 5 people who are competing, who are running the same thing, and content is similar. 19-20 ka farak, as we say, right? But one has access to capital, if the other 4 don't. And he becomes successful on the back of it. It's not necessarily that he's the best amongst them, right? Whom will you worship? You will worship him. That's what happens. It happens in most of the industries.
And I think social media has even amplified this too much,
Yeah,
right?
it
With
does.
the, on your fingertips, you're seeing these influencers or content creators making lakhs of money, being
Are
paid.
Are they? I'm asking that question because they are showing you that they are making lakhs and lakhs of rupees, because if they don't portray themselves as being highly successful, you will not follow them. See, we are a society which gets impressed by these things, right?
Agreed.
Agreed, right?
Yeah.
Now the real question is, are they or are they living beyond their means to portray that image? It's a half and half. Some of them are, not every.
I think even with nowadays there are this section, I don't know how much you follow films here, but what is happening is the content creators are now sort of entering this Hindi film industry niche, where they are either coming on directly cinemas or they are coming on your OTT platforms, right?
Right.
So they have to push themselves, portray themselves as someone who is like well off, at least not rich but well off. But again,
no, well off is synonymous with success. That's the problem. It's not the quality of what you are giving, but how much money you made, because somewhere the understanding is he must be good, that's why he made money. So if you are well off, and then you are successful. And if you're successful, then people follow you. Nobody wants to follow somebody who's not successful. So that's how we are. I have a very interesting movie character in the novel, in the Goa Gambit.
Okay.
Who's a guy whose last movie, which was a super hit, came out in the early 90s. His name is Kumar Saurabh. Right? And but he, in his own eyes, he's still living in that world. And to live in that world, he is paying through the roof, beyond his means. He wants to be on part of every celebrity invite. He pays money. He wants to be seen in the same clubs as they are. But the fact is that the money coffers are empty. So he's borrowing money. Right? Trying to live that life still. And his problem is that now he's almost run out of money. And someday, all the people he's borrowed from are going to stand in front of his door. So it's a great character. So the question is, why do people live beyond their means? Because I think somewhere they want to portray success.
Yeah. And even this very viral question actually that people have been asking to entrepreneurs, especially, like, would you choose to be famous or would you choose to be rich? And I think I'm sort of getting the answer here, that what is the purpose of being famous if you don't have money at the end to maintain that persona, right?
No, it could be the other way around. It could be. So I remember once, this is an old story, back in the day, there was one train from Delhi to Allahabad. I'm from Allahabad originally, Prayagraj Express. And there was this business family who used to travel always in AC first class. I'm talking in the 80s. It used to be a big thing at that point in time, AC first class. So the business was doing okay, nothing great. So I remember my father once asking them when I was there, why do you travel in AC first class? Oh, you can travel in AC second. AC 3 tier, I think, wasn't there then. So he says, no, I cannot. I says, why? He says, if my creditors see that I am traveling in any class other than AC first class, they will line up in front of my house. I am giving them confidence that business is doing well. You understand?
Yeah.
They knew they were living beyond their means. But it was important to keep their bankers feeling safe. So the banker sleeps well in the night, that he's given him money, that money is safe. That's how we are. So a lot of entrepreneurs also, till the last dime they have, they try and live it up. And suddenly you hear stories that overnight fired everybody and crashed. Why? Because he was on the last penny. You understand? But till that time, if he shows any sign of weakness, he will not be able to raise more money. So he lives that life till the very end, and then he gives up if the money doesn't come. If the money comes, then the story again continues. So that's what it is. Who will give you money if they think you're weak?
Yeah, obviously.
Then money only goes to people who are successful, for bigger successes. So how do you show yourself you're successful?
Even you're an investor yourself, right?
Yes.
So I think you also explore this fact more often with the companies or the people you are investing in, that
Right?
they are looking rich, or are they going to become rich? What do you look? Are they looking rich, or they have potential to be rich?
So my way is that I look at the annual reports of these companies to say what they said, because the annual report every year they say something,
Got it.
right? Then I will look at it 1 year later. So you have 5 years of annual reports. Every annual report he says something. Is he living by it or not? Very easy to do. Then you know whether to believe in the management or not. They said they will do this. They still haven't done it. Then how do I believe what they're telling you today?
Got it.
So very simple this thing. And if you are with the bigger groups, then this problem is not there. But yes, I am skeptical when I see somebody rising very fast. What is actually happening? Especially in today's world, in the VC world, in the private equity world, if you have tons of money to burn, you are taking market share at the cost of profitability. That business model is great only so long as you can raise more money. If you can't raise some money, it will go down. The problem is that with that kind of capital, they kill the industry around them also. Because they can undercut, because they have private equity money or VC money or whatever, right? And when that tap burns out, they themselves also collapse. So that happens.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming back to Goa Gambit again.
Yes.
I want to talk about another character here that you showcased, Ruby, right?
Yes.
So Ruby is someone who is sort of, struggling with her own sexual orientation. She wanna
Right.
explore a different part for herself. She wanna, be so well off that she can do the things that she wants to do to herself biologically.
Right.
So what was the reason behind showcasing this particular character, and that too facing this particular issue, right? Because at the moment you see this issue of gender or pronouns, or what is the biological sex of a person.
Right.
This is almost every day in news. You are almost hearing about this all the time. So
Yes.
was that the perspective for putting this, or there was some other reason?
So this character was actually written in 2018, so it was much earlier than any of these things came.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, I was traveling to Phuket, and I had the opportunity to interview, I think, 6 or 8 lady boys there. They're called lady boys in Thailand,
Yeah.
which are
I read
basically
that.
transgender. These are males who, so they all start from being gay males, and then around 8 to 10% of them realize that they like other men because in their own mind they think they are a woman. So that's how a stream diverts from gay males to lady boys. They both like men, but for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And this finds, I think, acceptance in Thailand more than any other country, because Thais are predominantly Buddhist, especially in the rural areas. And in Buddhism scriptures, they have three sexes. They also have hermaphrodites who can actually move. Hermaphrodite.
Okay.
They can move from one sex to the other.
By their own will.
By their own will, yes. I think a frog is a hermaphrodite. Can be male and female at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are some animals which are there. So I think because of that, an effeminate gay male, which is what a lady boy is, has greater acceptance in rural Thailand. And that's probably the reason they have greater voice there, which is the reason we have heard about lady boys in Thailand. But naturally, I think probably 8 to 10% of gay males across the world have an identity, this thing, that I think they are all going to be lady boys. The only reason we hear about them in Thailand is because there's a voice. The voice doesn't exist everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So I met a lot of them, I interviewed them, and to understand how this begins.
For this particular role you interviewed?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This character.
Yeah.
I wanted there's an escort service in the casino, and I wanted a lady boy to run it. And they basically, couple of things they told me which was very interesting. When they go through the entire transition in their life, by 4 or 5 they realize that they are trapped in the wrong body. That's how it begins.
Even before adolescence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they start with that. By 6, 7 they start dressing differently. It's a boy which starts putting makeup, starts growing his hair. Yeah. By 10, 12 they actually go through a transition. They call kathoes in Thai language, and they look for somebody called an elder sister, which is basically a person who's gone through the entire transition process, who can help them into converting, basically. So it starts with taking different hormones to, become a woman, basically. And they go through that transition, and then some of them actually go through a biological surgery because it costs money. Otherwise, most of them remain men who think they are women. So they'll dress up, they look very different. It's interesting. It's very difficult to decipher whether you are with a lady boy or a woman. Yeah. And when I got into the angst of it, there were 2 things which stuck out. One was that their self-confidence that they can, when they're soliciting for sex, their self-confidence that they can do better than a woman.
Okay, but why is that? Why a ladyboy wants to think in that zone?
Because they say that our want to be a woman is so much stronger that the level to which I go to be a woman, dress up, look nice, speak properly, take care of my body, right? As compared to another woman who's competing with me, who doesn't realize what she has. This is a perspective coming from them. So this is when we are soliciting, we have an edge over other women. And the biggest
they have an edge, or they want to believe they have an edge?
They believe they have an edge.
Okay.
They believe they have an edge. Very frankly, in Thailand, it's like this: if you meet a very beautiful girl who's probably above 5, 6, then she's a lady boy. So yeah. So, and their biggest angst was they don't find love, companionship. So yeah. So this was the character, and then I brought this character out in the novel.
Yeah.
This was in 2018.
Yeah. And now even I want to ask you about the existential crisis situation also. You yourself said, they have this complex that they want to put this out fact explicitly, that we perform better than women when sexually involved, right? The lady boys.
Yeah.
So were there also many existential crisis moments like this with Ruby also?
So Ruby, in this character, Ruby has come to the casino, but except for Jay Shah, who's the owner of the casino, and one other person, They don't know that she's a lady boy. Nobody knows. People,
Because she looks so pretty?
yeah, she looks so pretty and she's beautiful and she looks like a woman. Yes, they don't know. So it's a hidden identity. She's playing a woman. And in order to protect her identity, they ensure that she doesn't go out with any customer. So she only is there as an escort in the casino. She'll sit with you, she'll have a drink with you.
The
with
way
higher
it happened
rollers.
with you?
Similar.
Almost.
Yes,
Yeah.
similar. Yeah. And yes, and she won't. So that's how it is. And somewhere, because this entire backstory about not finding companionship, not finding love, so we have built that into the story here. I don't want to tell more because there will be spoiler alerts, yeah. But that's also a story that's in play in the novel.
Yeah. But, almost when I see this, I am already imagining a movie over this. I really hope someone picks this up and really make a content out of it. Who knows, maybe we want to try this out. Like, I am already imagining story, characters, and because this seems like very interesting. But coming from you, who specifically wrote this story down and want people to understand this, what is the major theme that you want to cover here? Is it the rags to riches wala concept that you want to teach to people? Or is it the whole thing about, the trafficking thing or the casino thing that is happening in Goa and all that, and the bad side of it and the good side of it also?
So the theme that I'm exploring in this novel is the fact that in the casino world, so long as you have money in your pocket, it doesn't matter the background that you come from. Whether you're a villager, you're from the city, what religion you belong to, what caste, everything is equal. It's a place where the outcasts go to become part of the system.
The hierarchy.
The politician is playing there, the powerful is playing there, the ordinary is playing there. Where else does that happen? Maybe because he's got more money, he's playing on a different table. The same premises. You can shake a leg with them. Where else does that happen? So the character Balwant in the novel, who comes from a village, has a lot of money because he has a lot of land which he's sold to real estate developers. But despite the money, he's not part of the society in the city because he's a villager.
Yeah.
He's the guy, the new rich. Right? We have
Yeah.
created these differences, right?
Obviously.
But he says that when he goes to the casino, they treat him like a king. They don't care that he's come from a village. And because he has big money, he sits on the same table
As
as a
any rich
movie
guy.
star
Yeah.
or a politician, right? So it helps him to cut across the various substratas that we've created in society. That's what we're trying to showcase in this novel. Same with, so Balwant and Ruby have a chemistry in the novel. And why is there a chemistry? Because they're both outcasts. Ruby is an outcast because she's a lady boy. She's a escort.
So,
Right.
did you choose to intentionally make these people the outcast? Right? Because there is one thing, you are poor, but there's another thing when you are an outcast. The way
Outcast because
society
he's
sees
trying
you.
very hard to become part of the society which he's not. Then he gives up. He stops trying. That's the character. He just goes to the casino. Now he doesn't care. Right? Ruby, because if she is a escort, then she is an outcast. That's how we look at it. So yeah, so the casino is that place for you. That's how it's a world where all such people get together, and your backgrounds are erased. What matters is the money you have in your pocket.
It's a rich man's world.
No, it's not a rich man's world. A poor man can become rich if he has the money to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not only a rich man's world. That's what I'm saying. It's very interesting. Go to a casino in Goa, you will see people from all walks of life. Yeah. Okay, one guy is sitting on a different table where the stakes are much higher.
Yeah.
It's the same floor. There's going to be a VIP room somewhere also. But who enjoys playing in a VIP room? People want that thrill on the floor. If I want to play big, I'd much rather be surrounded by 1,000 people than sitting in a VIP room with 3 people there. They have the money, right? It's when that money is shown around, that's when the value.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday also I was in a podcast with a very famous YouTuber. He specifically covers, politics and more of content in that niche only. His name is Sham Sharma.
Right.
So I was there with him. So even we were discussing, we were having this conversation that, how do you address something as serious as caste-based discrimination in India? So the basic conclusion of that conversation came that you have to increase the price coefficient. The poor have to be rich so that they don't face that discrimination. Now I'm connecting dots here also. So really love this thing. I really hope people do get this while reading the book. With the ending of the conversation, one last thing for you. So far you have published almost 3 books, right?
Yes.
So I don't know what your creative goals are, how you want to write, where you want to picture yourself, whether you want to explore entertainment niche or not. From there, I want to know, are you targeting a specific niche here? That is, I want to address the Gen Z or the young folks, or I want to address the millennials here, people of my age group or your own age group. How do you put the segregation of, the audience you want to cater to?
So I think I'm targeting people who are 20 plus all the way up. My novels are a little dark, as in my characters have many layers. It's like an onion, you keep peeling, and based on circumstances and stimulus, they react in different ways. So I have always said before also that I don't like to write fairy tales where there's a hero and a nemesis. The hero also has different layers. And so does the nemesis. And there's a backstory of why they are the way they are and what motivates them in life. So given that, I've generally found that people mid-20s onwards tend to appreciate such novels more, where they see the same person behaving in a large spectrum than a very predefined character. This guy will do like this. He does like this depending on what is the circumstance, what is the stimulus that he is given. And by saying I don't always write fairy tales, it doesn't always end on the hero being the winner. I have my own this thing. Maybe it's a neutral, maybe it's a slight, but it's not always that the hero wins. Yeah. I mean, I have my own definition of who the hero is, very frankly. So, yeah.
I mean, really kudos to you, Anurag sir. I think someone who's from corporate, who was, someone who was watching numbers and all that stuff, he's saying things like that, you don't want to make the story hero-centric or protagonist-centric. That's really very lovely to hear, and something I think I personally will surely take with me when I have to narrate stories or stuff like that. But in all good spirits, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks, Aftab. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hope so. I
Yes.
hope so. It was a new experience for you.
Yeah.
I try to make this conversation very rounded, just not focused towards one thing. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you, Aftab.